So guys, this was the gathering of the powers that be in Nigeria. Call it the senators, call it the judges, call it the CJN, alongside the former president of Nigeria, President Jonathan. He has blasted Tinubu for what he has done in Rivers State. He confronted the CJN, telling her that nobody is coming to Nigeria to invest because the judiciary has been compromised. You need to listen how ex-president Jonathan spoke boldly, telling them that they are pretending as if they don't know what they are doing, that they all know what they are doing, and that they are destroying Nigeria. That is why our passport is not valued out there. Just take your time, watch this video to know that, honestly, Tinubu knows what he's doing. Just take your time and see how President Jonathan, ex-president Jonathan, addressed those who are in power. Take a look.
That what is happening in the country, everybody talks about Rivers State on television, and some of these are the issues we discuss. We're talking about building a society where no one is oppressed, as reflected in the top paragraph of our national anthem. As a former president and also from the Niger Delta, when the issue of suspending the governor came up, I think people call on me, oh, President Jonathan, oh, President Obasanjo, you should say something. People expected us to say something about what is happening. And of course, people don't even know that traditionally all over the world, former presidents hardly make statements about what the current presidents are doing because of the tension it could create in the country. In most cases, look at America, look at everywhere. So hardly for former presidents to make, sometimes you see and you look. And of course, what is happening in Nigeria today regarding the situation in Rivers State is like an Indian proverb that said that if somebody is sleeping, really sleeping, you can easily wake up that person. But if the person is pretending to sleep, you find it difficult to wake up that person. The key actors in Nigeria, from executive to the legislature, luckily Senator Binta and others are here, and the judiciary, they know the correct thing to do. But they are refusing to do it. They are pretending to sleep. And waking such a person is extremely difficult because the person knows the right thing. A clear abuse of offices, clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges, cutting across from the three arms of government, from the executive to the parliament to the judiciary. And I always plead with our people that whatever we do affects everybody. And sometimes we do things and we think that it doesn't affect us. I've been a president before, and even after leaving office as a former president, people get to me. Why is that our passport is not valued that much? Why is that Nigerians are not given the kind of treatment we're supposed to receive at international airports? Sometimes we think it's because of Yahoo boys or 419ers. No, not only them. Yes, they are part of the problem. But whatever happens in a country, decisions that are taken by the executive arm of government, decisions that are taken by the parliament, judicial decisions affect everybody. For example, no businessman can bring his money to invest in a country where the judiciary is compromised, where a government functionary can dictate to judges what judgment they will give. No man brings his money to invest in that account because we are taking a big risk. So whatever we do affects everybody. And if we must build a nation for our children and our grandchildren, no matter how painful it is, we must strive to do what is right. It may cost us, but we must endeavor and pay the price to insist on doing what is right. Whether you're holding an executive office as a president, a minister, or a governor, or a special advisor, or executive, whether you're holding an office in the parliament, senate, or rep, whether you're a judicial officer at the high courts or appellate courts, we must strive to do what is right. If we want to build a nation that our children will be proud of. As we engage in these discussions, let us remember that promoting social change is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. It requires a sustained commitment, collective action, and unwavering dedication to the values that promote good governance. Let us also recognize that social change is a shared responsibility, one that requires the active participation and engagement of all stakeholders, including civil society, the private sector, and governments. In conclusion, I want to again express my gratitude to the Haskell Satumare Foundation for convening this colloquium, and I appreciate all of you, especially a sister who came all the way from Kenya, as she has been introduced. If you are ticking the boxes for people that are supposed to be here, she filled all the gaps. Thank you for coming. And thank you from what you told me yesterday, said that Nigeria is the first West African country you have visited. So you are welcome. And I hope you will enjoy Abuja, and will listen to you and will listen to all others.
People have been making a mistake as to what the president did in Rivers State. With profound respect to everybody that has been talking, the president did not declare state of emergency in Rivers State. The president declared a martial law in Rivers State. And I want you to understand the difference. The state of emergency is recognized by our Constitution and has given the president the power to declare state of emergency under certain conditions. The Nigerian Bar Association, led by its president, has made it clear that none of those conditions has been fulfilled to warrant the declaration of state of emergency, meaning that the purported declaration is not a state of emergency. The Supreme Court is very clear. In the case of Attorney General of Bendel State and Adeyo, he said any act of governance not covered under an enabling law is a nullity. So there is nothing like state of emergency in what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did. Why? Because state of emergency does not, even if the situation has arisen, does not include the removal of elected representatives of the people. The Constitution is very clear. In Section 1, subsection 2, that Nigeria shall not be governed or any part thereof by any persons except in accordance with the Constitution. Where is it in the Constitution where it was stated that Nigeria or any state should be governed by a sole administrator? None. So what the president did is akin to what the president of South Korea did when he declared martial law and wanted to remove the elected representatives of the people. The legislature moved in immediately, including the members of the party of the president, and removed the president himself for declaring martial law and intending to remove elected representatives of the people. That is a coup against the federation. The president of South Korea is awaiting trial for doing that, even in his own party. So what the legislature is expected to be thinking about doing is removing Tinubu for declaring a martial law on a state, a federating unit, and trying to rule that state through the military, through sole administrator, not contemplated by our Constitution. So what Tinubu has done, can't you see? And let me explain the more. He usurped even the power to make law for that state. He said the sole administrator can make regulation. Regulation is part of law. because regulation is a subsidiary legislation that derives its validity from a statute. So he usurped it through a decree, not our law, that the sole administrator can make law, and that he, Tinubu, and his cabinet will be the one to authorize the law, usurping the power of the legislature. That is treason. That is trying to govern Nigeria, or a part of it, in a manner not contemplated by the Constitution. Now, Tinubu suspended numerous sections of the Constitution in order to make his declaration. No state of emergency authorizes the government to suspend any provision of the Constitution. But in declaring the martial law, which Tinubu did for Rivers State, he suspended Section 1 of the Constitution, Section 179, 180, 188, 189, and Section 120 and 121, including Section 117 and 110, in other words 110 of the Constitution. He suspended these several sections of the Constitution in order to make that declaration. That cannot be declaration of a state of emergency. What are these provisions of the Constitution talking? You cannot govern Nigeria outside elected member of the representatives of the people. That is what these sections are saying. And these sections enumerated the methods that you can use to remove a member of the House of Assembly or the governor. 1, by death, by resignation, by removal through impeachment, by permanent incapacity and expiration of term, and for the House of Assembly member by recall. That is the summary of all these sections that I have enumerated. So the president suspended these sections and wanted to rule Rivers State by decree, because he has already usurped the power of the legislature. And that is why I'm saying that what he declared was martial law, was a coup against the people of Rivers State. Rivers State are the ones that elected the governor and the members of the House of Assembly. And even by Interpretation Act, he said he that appoints is the only person that have the power to remove. So the president did not appoint the governor. He did not appoint the members of the House of Assembly. They were elected. So the president has no right to remove them. And any government in place in a democracy was instituted by laws. And that is why the Supreme Court say any act of governance that is not covered under an enabling law is a nullity. Even the National Assembly that has the right, and I'm talking now about the state of emergency, for you to know the difference from the state of emergency and what Tinubu did. In the state of emergency, Section 305 was clear. You declare state of emergency when there is war, or when there is imminent threat of invasion of Nigeria. That has not happened. Or when there is actual breakdown of public order and public safety as to warrant extraordinary measure to correct the situation, or where there is a danger that such a thing will happen, or where there is a natural calamity of such that needs extraordinary measure to correct, or where there is a threat to the collapse of the Federation of Nigeria. This is Section 305, subsection 3. Now, none of these things has happened. And the president came on TV to say there is a security report for you. Security reports, Mr. President, is for you. It is not for Nigerians. So anything that Nigerians do not know should not know Nigerians. You that know your security report, the security report has not given you the right to remove elected representatives. So what the state of emergency actually is doing is that the president should empower the democratic forces to be able to overcome the danger, even if it means using extraordinary measures. What is the extraordinary measures? The state of emergency that is talking about that extraordinary measure is that you have the right to restrict the fundamental human rights of Nigerians. When you are taking away the extraordinary measure, it does not mean removing elected representatives. And this was stated in section 45 of the Constitution, when they say that the provisions of the human rights cannot invalidate any law made by the National Assembly if that law is intended for the defense, public safety, public morality, public order, or public health of the country. And even that section made it clear that the National Assembly has the power to make such law for the defense, even if it affects the fundamental human rights. And in section 11, subsection 4, the Constitution made it clear that the making of the law by the National Assembly does not include the removal of the governor or the deputy. That is, even if the legislature is not functioning in that state. What does that tell you? That no law gives any right to any elected president to remove the elected representatives of the people. Now, let me tell you this catch. Because the president is referring to one pipeline or two that was breached during the regime of President Goodluck Jonathan. The whole pipelines in Niger Delta were threatened. Most of them breached by the militants that have waged war against the Federal Republic because of the marginalization of the Niger Delta. President Goodluck Jonathan, bless his soul, that was a situation that needed a state of emergency. He did not even declare a state of emergency because he did not believe that there was anything extraordinary in what these people are doing, which the security forces cannot contain. He simply made an order that the security forces should restore order in that region and arrest the culprits and bring them to justice. This was what he did. And the security forces moved in. No governor was affected, no House of Assembly was affected, and it led to the dialogue, which resulted in the amnesty, which brought peace to the region, which we are enjoying today. When a competent president wants to make peace in any part of the country, he goes it by the way that President Goodluck Jonathan, that President Umaru Yar'Adua went about it. You negotiate, you go into dialogue, not going to support your appointee in order to destroy the state because you want to capture the state. That is why it is not a state of emergency that he's doing, because Yar'Adua, faced with the problem in the entire Niger Delta, which breached all the pipelines, which brought war against the Federal Republic, did not even declare a state of emergency. And the president is telling you apprehension, there is tension, not that is anything actual, no evidence. So that is one. Secondly, when Goodluck Jonathan was faced with invasion, insurgency by a terrorist group called Boko Haram that has taken over local governments and 3 states were under threat, Goodluck Jonathan rightly declared a state of emergency and did not remove any governor, did not remove any elected representative of the people. Why? Because he was not declaring martial law, he was declaring state of emergency. And he took out that situation. I remember when Boko Haram, before the election, in 6 weeks, he wiped them out. Why he declared the state of emergency is to let the people know your movement might be curtailed. So don't come and quote for us freedom of movement. You should not come out in so time because stray bullets can catch you. And then if stray bullet catches anybody, you can't go to court and say the person was killed. That is the essence of the state of emergency. Your fundamental human rights could be involved. Now, let's go to Obasanjo, because Obasanjo was the only leader that removed some governors during the state of declaring state of emergency, which, of course, the courts now have ruled illegal. But one thing Obasanjo did, he did not use it as an instrument of power grab. Obasanjo never declared or removed any elected representative in the opposition party. It was only PDP members, his own party, that he removed. And there was another governor that had the same security problem in another party. Obasanjo refused to remove him because he knew that it would be interpreted as power grab. Obasanjo wrote a letter of warning to that governor. When Tinubu was governor, there was security problems in Lagos. Obasanjo restrained himself from declaring state of emergency in Lagos. I still remember it was Dele Alake that came out on TV and told Obasanjo, the security in Nigeria is your duty, not the duty of Tinubu in Lagos. And that if security had failed in Lagos, It is your failure, not the failure of Governor Tinubu. And you cannot declare a state of emergency in Lagos because of security failures. Because security is the exclusive reserve of the federal government. Because all the instruments and apparatus of the armed forces is commanded by the federal government. The state has no power because they don't have any police. And Dele Alake made it plain to Obasanjo. When I met Dele Alake, when we were in APC, in one function, I went to him and said, Dele, remember that thing you did during Tinubu's regime. You confronted Obasanjo and told Obasanjo he cannot declare a state of emergency in Lagos. Dele said, yes. We talked about it. I said, Dele, you did the right thing. And I congratulated him. He is there today. He told me that, look, they had to do it. And they did it. And Obasanjo did not declare state of emergency in Lagos. Not because there was no tension. There was even times in Lagos when Alaipo will kill a soldier or wound a soldier without knowing. The soldiers will go and wipe them out. During Tinubu's regime, nobody declared state of emergency. And now in Rivers State, nobody has died as a result of anything. And you came out on TV and say, you're declaring a state of emergency. No, it's not a state of emergency. It is a declaration of martial law. It is a coup to forcefully and with the military remove elected representatives so that you will take over the state and administer it with military people. That's a coup. Now,
so guys, it is nice to see that the ex-president is the one talking to Tinubu now, because if other political party leaders or other opposition leaders speak, they will say it is politics. Now, President Jonathan is speaking. Let me say he does not belong to any party. He's not partisan. He's not contesting for any position tomorrow. He's a neutral man, and he has come out to say Tinubu is wrong. The judiciary is wrong. I mean, even the National Assembly, the legislative, all of them, their voices have been sold. Tinubu has captured every sector of this government. All of them are under him. I mean, you can see what is happening in Nigeria. And still, the APC spokespeople, they come out to defend this. The lawyers, they come out to defend this. I'm so happy that the ex-president has spoken. Let's see those lawyers that believe they can back what is wrong. Something that is not in the constitution, no constitutional backup. They've been coming out and making all kinds of comments that Fubara could not stop the militants. That was why Tinubu just came out of nowhere. Did Tinubu ever call Fubara and say Fubara won the militants? There was never any instance like that. He never said anything. All of a sudden, we heard that it's a state of emergency, and then they now brought a sole administrator to do the bidding of Tinubu in Rivers State. So, guys, there is no democracy in Nigeria. Like Kenneth Okonkwo has said, that this is just a coup, a military coup in a state. Don't just see it as if because it's not the entire country, you will not understand it from that point. Kenneth Okonkwo said this is a military coup on a state. Now, an ex-naval man is there. The military has taken over Rivers State. I mean, everything is going to just be as if we are in a military era in Rivers State. And we have a democratically elected president. We have a democratically elected House of Assembly. We have a democratically elected senators. So these people, they are just making a mockery of the judiciary. They are making a mockery of, the Constitution. They are making a mockery of their position because they were elected to help this country move forward. But see how they are dragging us back to the Abacha era. In fact, many people have started praising Abacha. That Abacha era was far better than what we are seeing. We have leaders who are not ready to impact on the lives of the people. We have leaders who are not helping Nigerians to survive. We have leaders that are destroying this nation. And still, they are destroying the democracy. So, guys, you have seen it. Nice that the ex-president has come out to speak, telling Tinubu, you are wrong. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. You are wrong. Stop pretending. So guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.